So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 14th Town Council meeting for the town of Bladensburg. If you were viewing the work session tonight, there are a few agenda items that we do need to carry over for tonight's council agenda because we ran out of time and were able to discuss them in the work session. And so I am looking at my other screen and pulling up these items. The electrical vehicle update is not time sensitive, so I can provide an email update on that. However, the town community grant is something that is time sensitive, and it is currently listed under financial business. The computer purchases for public safety, again, also listed under financial business, so that is reflected in the agenda. Computer purchases for the telephone system purchase is already here on the agenda, as is the FY21 COLA
Hey, Mayor,
and discretionary funds. Yes, Mr.
the
Tonelli?
telephone purchase, if you want to save on time, so that can be approved tonight, but that's also something that could be maybe moved over into the federal COVID funds. I'm not sure. So that's an
Okay.
asterisk someone put there on that.
Yes, same here. So that's an asterisk for COVID ARP. I'm just checking what else is here. Oh, and then the other time sensitive item relates to public safety. So under the community walk and the effort with our state's attorney's office, I see the community walk is listed on the agenda, but if you all don't mind, I would still like to add the state's attorney's initiative and our neighborhood watch program as well. And then with respect to Councilmember Lundy, the request that she made regarding the county's COVID efforts, that would also come under new business. All right, is there anything else? Okay, so is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lundy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. We'll start with Councilmember Lundy. Would you mind doing the opening prayer?
Thank you, Mayor James. Let us pray. Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this day asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters before us today and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm and community. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our service and in our work. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that prayer, Councilmember Lundy. The next item on the agenda we have is the approval of minutes for May 10th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those meeting minutes? Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. I wasn't able to review all of the minutes. I would like to ask for that the minutes can be tabled and the edits will be presented by the next town council meeting and track changes.
Thank you for that recommendation. Let me just go around and see, is there a consensus to do the same from the rest of the council? You have edits, Councilmember Blunt?
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Lundy?
Yes.
All right, Councilmember Mendoza?
Yes.
All right. Excellent. So that will be tabled for the July meeting. The next item, I want to turn over to Councilmember Mendoza because it's about Flag Day.
Good evening. Yes, happy Flag Day, everyone. I like to read about a poem that was written over 100 years ago. And it goes, you know, this was written about, I believe it was 1917 by Franklin Lane, the US Secretary of Interior. And he was addressing his people on Flag Day. He began to say, he said, "This morning, the flag drew me in most cordial salutations from its ripping fold, and I heard it say, 'Good morning, Mr. Flag Maker.'" He replied, "I beg your pardon, O glory. I am not the President of the United States, nor a member of Congress, nor even in general, not even a general in the army. I'm only a government clerk who's just doing his job." The flag replied, "The work we do is making of the flag. I am not the flag, not at all. But its shadow. I am whatever you make of me, nothing more." The flag continued asserting that I am your belief in yourself, your dream of what people may become. I live in a changing life. Sometimes I am strong with pride when men do an honest work, fitting the rails together truly. Sometimes I drew for the purpose gone from me and I cynically played the coward. But I'm always all that you hope to be and have the courage to try for. I am song and fear, struggle and panic, and enabling hope. I am a day's work of the weakest men and the largest dream of the most daring. I am the Constitution and the court, statutes and state maker, soldiers and dream now, the drayman and sweet cook, counselor and clerk. I am no more than what you believe in me to be, and I am all you believe I can be. I am what you make of me, nothing more. That's it.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Mendoza, and for always keeping us in the spirit of commemoration of our patriotic events. We certainly appreciate that beautiful poem in honor of Flag Day today. And with that, I would like to turn things over to Mrs. Griffin Horn for a public comments. Mrs. Griffin Horn, we are not able to hear you. You're still muted.
Give her 1 second.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we
Thank
can hear you.
you.
Oh, excellent. Good evening, Mayor, Council, residents, staff, and everyone who's listening. I will be reading the public comments. There are quite a few this evening. The first will be coming from Ms. Terry Williams, and it reads, "Good afternoon. I would like to request a sign on 52nd and Newton to deter large trucks from traveling up Newton Street. Large trucks trying to maneuver over, I had to write this one, sorry. Large trucks trying to maneuver over onto Newton has become a traffic issue." And she attached some photos of a sign that appears on the other side of the street where the issues are. Thank you, Ms. Terry Williams, for your comments. The next comment will be coming from Denise Tyler, and it reads, "Good morning. I have received the above budget for fiscal year 2022, a request for this Shot spotter is great. It should also include speed cameras or speed strips on Bladensburg Road, Landover Road, and Annapolis Road. The traffic comes down these roads at very high speeds on any given day. In making Bladensburg beautiful, first of all, place trash cans along the main streets. Maybe this cut down the rat problem from food being thrown into the street. Another thing needs to be addressed regarding the water stream running along the back of Bladenwood condominiums. Thank you, Ms. Denise, for your comment. The next comment we have, public comment, is from Mr. Steve Weiss. It reads, Mayor, Council, members, and staff. The stormwater drain culvert drain across the street from 5404 Taussig Road is getting clogged up again. As you can see in the photos, there is a branch across part of the drain, and branches and trash is piling up across the drain. The drain is also overgrown and with weeds and branches. During the last flood, this drain got clogged up, flooded and tore down the fence and flooded the street and houses. Please have this stormwater drain culvert cleaned out as soon as possible. The brick wall is also falling apart and needs repair. We need a routine monthly inspection and maintenance of the stormwater drain, open culverts, and street curb drains in order to keep them cleaned out to prevent flooding in our streets and residential housing. I gave public comment at the May 10th Town Council meeting, requesting that town staff and town council ask the fire department to cut down all the vines, weeds, and trees growing on the fire department fence next to the Bladensburg post office. The mayor said they will address this problem and get back to us. I have not heard any response in the ongoing problem of the weeds and vines growing over the post office roof and air conditioner, which will damage the air conditioner unit. The post office does not have any maintenance budget due to budget cuts. Our town is giving financial aid to the fire department. The overgrown vines, trees, and weeds are in violation of the town code. Please take care of this problem as soon as possible to prevent damage to the post office air conditioner. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Steve Weiss, for your comments. The next comment we have is from a former mayor, Walter James. Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. I want to first say thanks for your service throughout these unprecedented times. Mayor James, your leadership and heart of service for the community is absolutely amazing. As it relates to the budget, it is indeed a framework of which we use to guide our operations and projects throughout the fiscal year. It is my understanding that there is a proposal or ask to be included in the budget to fund 2 contracted positions, one being an HR specialist and the other an economic development coordinator. Let me be clear, in order for the town to move forward effectively from a human resource perspective with proper processes and procedures in place, we desperately need the HR specialist. It is absolutely unrealistic to ask the town administrator to handle these responsibilities as well as the other day-to-day operation matters. Having this HR contractor in place will better position the town to operate with a more consistent standard. For example, this person could put in place a consistent processes for onboarding and offboarding extra interviews or of individuals to ensure that we are consistently gathering all town equipment to ensure the reduction of any security risk to the town. As we all know that the economic development is essential to the growth of the town, we need a contractor whose total focus is in economic development. We have plans in place that have been approved, and there needs to be someone in place with expertise and a laser focus on moving many of the projects forward. Therefore, in conclusion, I am in full support of bringing on a contractor for both HR and economic development. I thank you for your serious consideration, and we thank you for your public comment. There is one more public comment, and it comes from Nelson. I'm not sure, but it reads, good afternoon, Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My neighborhood, Seaton Square, along 57th Avenue, has experienced several shootings in and close proximity to our neighborhood in the last 5 years. The latest one being on May 2021, where someone starting shooting in the middle of the day behind my development, which was found which was in front of the local corner store off of 57th Avenue. I feel having the crime cameras within the town could help the local police resolve cases quicker. Also, going forward, it may deter criminals from creating heinous acts of violence in Bladensburg. That was the crime cameras. The tuition reimbursement. It reads, as a recruiter for my agency, I have found recent graduates look for jobs who offer tuition reimbursement because it gives them a peace of mind from paying back the student loans. With this reimbursement, the town can attract talented graduates who are looking for the student loans to be paid off. A time frame can be offered where the employee agrees to remain with the town for a number of years. Something of this nature would be highly coveted position. Thank you for your time, and I hope the council strongly considers my suggestion. And thank you for your comment. That concludes, there's one more from Ms. Susan McCutcheon. Good evening, Mayor and Council, Town Bladensburgians. For those who have not heard, my dear friend and esteemed community activist, Grandmaster Clifford L. Thomas passed away unexpectedly on June 4th, 2021. He will be sorely missed by many, but we lead by example in Taekwondo Ramblers self-defense systems will continue his legacy. There are many words about him and his contributions to be said, and they will be at a future memorial service. Thanks to all of you who attended the May 13th SC Magnet meeting convened by Mayor James to address how to commit on the draft environmental impact statement, and to those who submitted comments by the May 24th deadline. The fight is not over. More actions will need to be taken as Northeast Magnet moves forward and tries to run over opposition to the project. I strongly urge the council in this budget cycle to dedicate funds to support the city of Greenbelt, continuance of services of Jill Grant and Associates to respect communities along the path proposed. If thousands can be spent on a recent specialized town event, certainly up to 10,000 can be allocated to chip in with other local municipalities to support saving our town. This would save our town on legal costs and the need to separately engage issue acknowledgeable legal representation if and when it is needed. I support the FY22 budget. It is sound and reasonable. I also support curbing gun violence in the community with Spot Shotter, hiring a directive and online under Public Works, in addition to another person to support the routine work of the Public Works to bring proactive leadership and innovations to address capital and infrastructure issues, including grant opportunities in concert with the Biden administration. Hiring a human resource consultant to address best practices and bring about the consistency in the conduct of the town government officials and staff and squash unproductive bickering and infighting and infight. Excuse me. Hiring an economic development consultant to support the town administrator and help advance existing redevelopment plans, work that is too time intensive to be relegated to being only one of the many tasks of the town administrator. 15-20K to be allocated for the annual 4th of July celebration at an encompassing community event, either in one location or in multiple locations in town, that would bring attention to the commitment from the Prince George's County. Thank you, that Ms. Susan McCutcheon, for your public comment. That concludes all the readings for the public comments today.
Thank you so much for doing that, Ms. Diane. And
welcome.
each one of them was under the 3 minutes allocated for public comment. So right on point with that. Want to thank all of our residents for taking the time to share your concerns, and do want to let Mr. Whites know in particular that the work was done at the fire department, and I'm happy to email pictures of the work so that you can see it was taken care of. I think you had commented you hadn't heard back from me or staff, but definitely we'll follow up with the photographs so you can see the outcome, and want to thank our fire department for being responsive, as well as code enforcement for working with them. And so at this time, the next item on the agenda is the long-awaited, I'm sorry, was there a hand about public comment,
Yes,
Councilmember
Mayor
Rout?
James.
Mhm.
Yes, I just want to acknowledge that the town council received some additional emails that I didn't hear read. There were members of Ward 1 that sent in comments as it relates to the budget. So not sure what we're gonna do about that, but I know
Right.
we all received them.
Right. And so the information that went out in our communications did have specific instructions that if you wanted to submit public comments for tonight's meeting, that they had to be followed. So as Councilmember Rout said, in addition to that, we did get specific emails that were specifically related to the budget. And I appreciate her acknowledging those residents who took the time to view those meetings and put their comments and questions together. At this time, we will move forward.
Mayor James, if I could
Councilmember
respond,
Rout.
I'm sorry. There was also a resident that needed some assistance at Newton Green who submitted, and I requested that her comment be, I couldn't write it for her, but she needed some assistance with getting that comment over. And so I had specifically asked if that comment could be included as well, because we all were sent that one as well. I couldn't write it for her, those were her own words, but she sent it to me and she had requested that that comment, you know, sometimes older adults need definitely a lot of assistance with navigating. And that's, you know, I think we need to be sensitive to that, because we are in a different, I'm sure if she could come physically to a meeting, she would have come. I just want to acknowledge that too.
Sure, absolutely.
Excuse me,
Ms.
would you like
Griffin,
me to go back
you-
and see if I see that?
if you could, if you can't find it, then we're going to have to make sure that we have it read in the next meeting. In addition to that, as Councilmember Rout said, it sounds like she's in contact and supporting this resident, but just to have her know that her voice and her concerns were heard is definitely important. So if you can't find it, Ms. Diane, in the next couple of minutes, we'll just have to print it out because I know the council did receive that communication.
I believe
just
so
don't-
as well. And
yeah.
I remember reading it before I left the office. I believe I found it. Let me see. No, this is nice. Is it the one council for the code enforcement?
No, I believe in the subject line it referenced Newton Green Senior Apartments. Chief, I see your hand.
Mayor James, if you'd like me to assist Ms. Griffin, I can. I do have it.
That's perfect. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. That's perfect.
It's from Ms. Paris. Says, I'm writing a list of concerns to be presented to management. Please discuss the current arrangement management has in closing our community room. Is that it, Councilmember Rout?
Yes, that is correct, Chief Collins.
Okay, because it's quite lengthy. I'm writing a list of concerns to be presented to management. Please discuss the current arrangement management has in closing our community room when they go home daily. That arrangement did not work, nor was it voted on, nor was it ever up to management discretion in the handbook of hours of operation for that room. That room is listed as an amenity, not an option. What are we to do on weekends? That room needs to be restored and returned to its original function. A hand sanitizer station needs to be placed in all the community rooms as well as computer room and exercise room. As it stands now, those rooms are not up to health department standards and PG County COVID reopening code. Now that Ingram has a maintenance person paid on staff, one of his duties could be to wipe the tables twice daily or even once daily. I could commit to wiping the tables and equipment down on weekends and holidays just to stay within the parameters of CDC and PG County Health Department. In closing, there was no formal notification from Ingram that the community room should be and will be reopened, but reopened under the discretion of the resident manager. I plan on talking to the manager personally and expressing my concern over the matter and email a copy of my concerns to Ingram, PG Health Department, Dwayne Houston, my PG Housing Authority advocate, and Jocelyn Rout, our Bladensburg advocate from the PG County Municipality, and any other agency that needs to be informed. Also, a part 2 meeting needs to take place with the residents to introduce the new staff as we have never formally met them. Please accept my regards and thanks to the council for always keeping Newton Green seniors on their radar. Thank you, Monique Paris.
And I would like to apologize for Ms. Paris and Councilwoman Rout. I did receive that email. I did read it, and I did not have it printed. So I thank you, Chief Collington. Again, I apologize.
Thank you, Ms. Diane, and that's no problem. I definitely understand and appreciate your patience as we were trying to find that. Thank you, Chief, for always being a team player and jumping in there. And so at this time, that does complete the public comments for tonight's meeting. And at this time, we are moving on to the next agenda item, which is the appointment of the next town administrator for the town of Bladensburg. I want to say, you all know as residents, it's been a long time coming, and we've gone through a thorough process to really try to find someone who has extensive skills in being in service to you all as our residents, but also to the staff and the council as a town administrator, someone who isn't doing this for the first time. And so we found a candidate with about 10 years of experience working through other municipalities. This individual has also consulted with ICMA, which is the International City Management Association, which credentials town administrators, town managers, and people who work in that area in order to provide services to municipalities. And so at this time, I see the individual here. We'll see that individual in just a moment, but I'm pleased to announce the town council has come to consensus around my appointment for Mr. Robert McGrory as our next town administrator. And I want to give that council an opportunity to say a few words before we move into the appointment. I'll start with Councilmember Lundy.
Hi, excuse me, Mary Jane, can you come back to me, please?
Sure, Councilmember Blunt. Mhm.
I'd like to say welcome aboard. Again, I've worked with you in the past, and I look forward to working with you and you bringing great ideas and bringing positive everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Blunt. Councilmember Mendoza.
I know Bob for a long time, so we go back to like almost 20 years. So it was nice to catch up again, with them. So what?
Excellent. Councilmember Rout.
Sorry, I had some kids running around. I had to quiet them down. I think that, this has been a long time coming. I think that, the council collectively wanted to take our time with this because the town administrator is a very important position. I feel confident about Mr. McGrory, his skills, understanding and knowing Bladensburg. He was a resident here. He served on the town council here. He served as a mayor here. And he understands and knows adequate good governance. And I fully support Mr. McGrory. I welcome him. We chose him specifically for a reason, and we truly think that he is going to move the town of Bladensburg in the right direction so that we can become the best municipality to live, love, work, and play. So welcome, Mr. McGrory.
Thank
Here to
you,
support
Councilmember.
you.
Beautiful. Councilmember Lundy.
Yes, I don't know why I'm having these issues with sinuses. I don't know why. So, Mr. McGrory, hello again. Good to see you again. And so I would like to welcome you also. And on your appointment, we are so delighted to have you. I echo all of the comments that my colleagues have said. And I have done some little bit of research on you. So I know what we're getting. And I think you are more than qualified in the areas of HR and economic development based on all of your years of experience, what you've done. And so I look forward to working with you and much success for you, and God bless you.
Thank you. And so with that, would ask for a motion to approve Mr. McGrory as our next town administrator.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Mendoza. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. I'm sorry, that was Councilmember Blunt. I saw you doing the hand sign. I'm sorry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much, Mr. McGrory. Welcome aboard. Would you like to say a few words at this time?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd be pleased to say a few words. And I'm so pleased and honored to be appointed as Bladensburg's next town administrator. And I want to reintroduce myself to the mayor, the council members, staff, residents, and guests. I have a deep connection to and an enormous affection for the town of Bladensburg. I bought my first home here, and while living in Bladensburg, I married my wife Laura and celebrated the birth of my two children, Ian and Maya. Thank you, Laura, Ian, and Maya, for your incredible love and patience during my career in local government. I cannot wait to share this news with my mother, sisters, extended family, and friends and colleagues who have supported me throughout my life. My father, who spent many years in local government and was an incredible role model to me, passed away last year. but I believe he is celebrating with me today. I've been so fortunate to have known and worked with Bladensburg's outstanding residents, staff, and local officials for nearly 30 years. I'm very excited to join the team at Bladensburg Town Hall, which includes not only some longstanding employees and Mr. Reinhardt, I see you smiling. Mrs. Griffin, it was delightful to hear your voice. But there are also some new faces who've been extremely welcoming to me. And Chief, calling you out particularly, I know you're going to be very ecstatic to take one of those big piles of papers off of your desk and hand it over to me and to Mr. Tonelli and all the staff that I'm looking forward to meeting who've come on board in recent years. So again, I'm so grateful to Mayor James, Councilmember Blunt, Councilmember Lundy, Councilmember Mendoza, and Councilmember Rout for giving me this opportunity to serve the Bladensburg community again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. McGrory, for those words. And as you stated, as my colleagues have stated, to have a candidate who knows what it's like to have a home in this community. You've lived here, you've worked here, you've invested in the community as a public servant. And so to have these various dimensions of your experience, in addition to the town administrator experience, and again, the ICMA experience, we are truly looking forward to you making a significant impact on this community. And if you can't tell, we're excited to work with you, and we have about 50 things that we're ready for you to start in like tomorrow. So thank you so much. And what we'll have to do is schedule a time for your swearing in. It's informal, but just a formality to swear you into office and have you sign the oath of office. So we'll email, if not tonight, first thing in the morning, to coordinate a time to make that happen as quickly as possible. But again, thank you for joining us tonight. At this time, in conjunction with that, also want to ask for a motion to approve the contract for Mr. McGrory's service to the town of Bladensburg.
Move to approve the contract for Mr. McGrory for town administrator effective
Tomorrow.
6/15/2021.
Yes, I put in tomorrow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Mendoza. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all so much. At this time, the next item on our agenda is financial business. And as was stated earlier, there were some things that we didn't get to in the initial conversations and work sessions. So we will do our best to discuss those at this time. As it relates to ordinance 4-2021 to adopt and set real property tax for FY22 and have the second and final reading. Is there a motion to proceed with that? There is none. Okay. And so there was discussion, and again, it was on the agenda, so we can't ignore it. So it got to follow protocol. For those who missed the work session, it was the will of the council to have a separate meeting to look at the edits that were not captured in time for tonight's work session, to make sure that those changes are reflected in the final version of the budget that is adopted by the council. We did admit we will work quickly to get this scheduled in the next week, because we do not want to violate our charter or the state laws and have our charter revoked by not passing our budget as we need to in this fiscal year. So again, we will coordinate with the new, one moment please, we'll coordinate a time to have that meeting with the help of our new town administrator. And we will get notice out to the public to make sure you all are aware well in advance so that you can be in attendance of that meeting. Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. I move to table the discussion of the constant yield and the budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Hearing none.
I do have some discussion. So it is my hope that we'll receive the updated all the changes that we made, and then an opportunity to discuss those budget items, just to make sure before we move into some type of meeting, if we could receive that written first, that would be very helpful.
So Councilmember Rao, you want to set up a work session and then following that, a second meeting?
No,
Or
that's not what I
just to
said.
be reviewing? That's why I'm asking.
Right, I
Yeah.
asked if we could receive it written in writing prior to us being able to schedule that next, I guess that would be a special meeting.
Correct, a special council meeting. And with that, is there, I'll now call for the vote, excuse me. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, I want to turn it over to, is it
Oh, I have
Chief
my hand raised.
Collington? Oh, sorry, I'm looking down and up and I missed your hand. Councilmember Lundy,
okay.
was it for discussion?
No.
Oh, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I must have missed something. So I don't know if this will fall, I must have missed something because we already approved the, and my colleagues, we must have missed something as well. We already approved the agenda for the council meeting. Okay, I'm sorry. So I didn't realize, and please forgive me, I didn't realize that the election was not on here because I think that's when you were doing that, you had said something that the items are going to stay that were pertinent or important. And since we do have an upcoming election, I think that's an important topic. But forgive me, I guess it's too late now because we already approved the agenda. But I see that was removed. If I'm not mistaken, the election was removed.
Can you give me just a moment? Because I did go down the list at the top of the meeting and I did it in coordination with the team because I wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything. And honestly, Councilmember Lundy, you can play it back. No one mentioned the election, but I do recall it was on there. And so if it's appropriate, I would take a request to amend the agenda. Again, I want to know if it's appropriate. So Mr. McGrory, you're not on the payroll yet, but the agenda's already been approved.
Right, that's what I said.
And we're well into the meeting. So, I don't want to be out of compliance with Maryland Open Meetings Act. But
No, it's already been approved, but I was just making that comment, Mayor James, because I know you know what's important and what's not. And I just,
yes, and I did try to
I missed
track
it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Mr. McGrory, were you going to say something?
No, Mayor, I would just add the council can amend its agenda at any time. During a meeting, you could amend the agenda, move something to the end, add a new item, et cetera, and discuss that item. Acting in good faith under the Open Meetings Act, it would be best if the council did not take a vote on something that was added to the agenda ad hoc so that the citizens could have time to have input or tune in if they wish to do that item. So there's a good faith expectation that you're going to advertise your agenda to the public in advance of the meeting, but it's also acceptable for the council on an ad hoc basis to take on new topics and deal with things as they come up. So you do have some flexibility there as long as you are cognizant of the implications for the Open Meetings Act. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. McGrory. So with that, Councilmember Lundy, would you like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include the 2021 elections under new business?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
And any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So the next item that we had up was still continuing with financial business. Computer purchases for public safety. Chief Collington, was that you or Mr. Tonelli?
It was both of us, but
Tag teaming us, huh?
yeah. I will start it off if that's okay with Mr. Tonelli. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, colleagues, staff, and residents. Mayor, I would like to ask the council if you would consider approving a purchase for the police department Our MDTs, every one of our police cars have the mobile data terminal computers inside of them. And the officers use these computers every day, generate reports, get calls for service, things like that. The computers that they currently have are from way back in 2000, I believe, 4 or 5. They do not support Windows 10, which is the software that we need to update our technology. We run warning checks, tags checks. We get officer safety information, and again, just our normal CAD calls. I'm asking that we do not take this out of any of the line items other than the asset forfeiture line, which it doesn't cost taxpayers a dime. It's funds that were seized as a police investigation. This money, to my knowledge, we used it when I first came on board here. We used it to purchase the rifle program. So that's how we bought the rifles to stand up the first rifle program here in Bladensburg. There's a remaining balance of $35,572, which this money can only be used for public safety purposes. And it's been sitting in this budget for almost 20 years. This was something that I asked when I first came here. We had an asset forfeiture budget, and today we have 35,000 of that left. And I'm asking if the council would consider approving us to get these MDTs for our cars. Now, what's different about this? We're asking for 25 CF31s, the tough books. They are not brand new. These are refurbished. However, they are one model behind. So what that means to us as a budgetary item is these one computer will cost you about almost $7,000. We're getting these computers for $999.25 per computer, for a total of 25 of them, which is $30,606. Again, and the funds we're asking that we can utilize the asset forfeiture funds, which it doesn't cost the town any money. And the funds can only be used for public safety. And as I stated earlier, this money's been sitting here for about 20 years. And if we're not going to use it then, if we didn't use it then, I'd like to use it now. And Vito can add if he has anything else that he would like to add.
Yeah, just before the comments, I think, Mayor, if that's okay, and council. These are very expensive. I mean, they're shielded laptops. They're shielded against, I want to say, Chief, I think they're EMP shielded, everything. So, and they're made to take a hit, and we keep saying we want the officers to have the best tools. This is a major tool in our toolbox. What I liked about it, of course, was the price, because I know that, starting out, lower end units, when we looked at these before, were like at least, I want to say they start out like 4,500, and the better units, which we need, as Chief said, are upwards of 6,000. The current ones we received were under the, I want to say, I get my tax laws and federal law, Section 1031 program, Chief.
1033, Army surplus.
I'm sorry, 1031 is a property sales and distribution. But 1033 program, we got hand-me-downs that were already, they're hand-me-downs and didn't have a very long useful life. So, but at this price, they're like $999, plus there's a little bit additional there, I think, for software install, Chief. But they're the price of a regular office laptop, but they're the shielded one. So it's hard to get a comparable price on these, but I know technology and the pricing, and this was a very good deal, and this is what they specialize in.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. I saw a hand from Councilmember Lundy. Okay, Councilmember Rout.
Yes, thank you, Mayor James. Chief Collington, I do support this effort. And I thank you for saving the town money by working collaboratively with our town treasurer to be able to use our asset forfeiture budget. I think that was a phenomenal move that you made, and it just speaks to your leadership, how you always want to use the payer of last resort. You always want to be decisive in your planning and your thinking as it relates to the needs versus wants. And I know you've been talking about these particular devices that have been used by our officers for quite some time. I am in support of this. I just do have one question. Do these refurbished laptops, I mean, MBD, that
MBTs.
MDTs.
Yes, does it come with some type of warranty, at least a 6-month warranty? I'm just a little cautious about refurbished because I was a recipient of a refurbished something, and then that thing crashed and burned on me, and then it cost the town more money, and I just don't want us to go through that. So I just would like to know, is there any type of warranty on the devices we will be purchasing?
Yes, there is a warranty on them. And in addition to the just making a major purchase, the company has been gracious enough to buy back some of our old ones, which could lower the price, but it would push the price back up to around $30,000 with the software, the addition of the software. So it would have been even more, but I think this is the best route for us to go, and it's a very needed piece of equipment for our officers. And I think
Thank you, Chief. And I definitely echo the sentiment that we do want to make sure your team has the best tools to do their job. With the refurbished computers, what is the useful life typically?
So the ones that we have now weren't new, but they had those computers since, like I said, about 2004, 2005, and still work. They just don't support Windows 10. So they cannot update the technology on them. So they last, that's why they call them the tough books. They're very durable, and they will withstand, knocks and bumps, and the software is great inside of them.
Gotcha. And the reason I was asking is because I know with the seized asset funds, the law requires they can only be used for law enforcement expenses. And so just like we talked about a vehicle replacement plan, just wondering if, yes, we take advantage of this opportunity, but longer term, if we don't have any other uses for those funds, that we start building out a plan so that we're getting them brand new, so that we're not having the issues such as what Councilmember Rout described, where you get that lemon sometimes and you end up having to spend more money to salvage it. And understanding they'll be around for a while, but if we could just give some thought to some sort of longer term plan so that we have brand new MBTs that we don't have to worry about going down and failing on us quite as fast as some of the refurbished computers.
Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely. And I'm going to stick with you all on the phone system purchase. Mr. Tonelli, you did say we could put a pin in that because we may find that ARP funds will cover the phone system purchase. I know in the previous COVID relief package that was a covered expense or qualified expense, excuse me, but we'll turn it over to you for the breakdown.
Give me 1 second to find the correct 15 windows open for the meeting, so just give me 1 minute. While we're waiting, we don't like dead air.
Do you want Chief to start on the phone system?
The phone system, it was previously qualified, as you said, Mayor, under the previous CARES Act grant. Under this current, I call it, I don't know the correct terminology, it's the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. What can be allowed here is infrastructure. Infrastructure was broadened a little bit under the government section for, as we saw today, improvements to cybersecurity, scanning, and anything else for the delivery services to our residents. A little bit broad, the phone vendors are saying, hey, we're covered under this. Again, everybody's waiting for the final rule law and everything to come out. So that's why I put asterisks here. It's something that, we definitely need right now. But, as far as funding, it is not in the current budget. We kept it out of last year's budget because we thought it could be done under the CARES Act. Ran out of time. Now, what the question is, where do we find the funds? Where do we pull from? Right now, we do know that we are going to end this year with at least a $400 and some $1,000 excess revenues over expenses that can be, used to build our fund balance. But at the same time, we still need to talk about this. And I'm going to share the screen really quick. The updated quotes I got, and I don't think this went out to the council in time, so I'm just going to talk through this right now. 3 different vendors we talked to. We actually talked to 5 vendors. One was a no quote. Another one was asking for more time to come in here and look at our equipment. The 2 quotes that we did receive, it was a few months ago from these 2 vendors, Maryland Telephone and Bay Telephone. ACC Telecom, who we met with most recently, they are, if you're going strictly by numbers, they're a few dollars higher, but they know the system more. We're comfortable with them. And one of the things also that this is going to strictly a voice over IP system, if that's correct, Chief. And so that means it's going to be all internet based, so landline based. Good thing about where we are in Prince George's County is we're part of the iNet, which is a dedicated fiber backbone that serves municipalities and governments. So we pretty much have a guaranteed pipeline of data. Now, if you're trying to do a voice over IP system in more of a rural area where you're using a shared broadband, you might see some limitations, but here other municipalities have gone to this and have been on this. We're still on what's called the old POTS line, plain old telephone system line, copper line. So with that, it's a cost to Verizon for the lines. It's a cost for long distance. With voice over IP services, it's a greatly reduced cost because a phone vendor is managing the data of the calls going in and out. So what we're paying right now, probably, I'm just going to say, I'm looking down at the budget. I think roughly around $2,000 a month in phone service right now. It's going to be around $800 a month for phone service. That includes all the calls and everything. So I want to bring this to the council. The chief and I did. Our current system is failing. And they're also coming back with a backup component for the 911 system to record calls that will be backed up on a server, searchable, I believe, Chief. Chief, I'm gonna take a break here, get a breath. Maybe you can fill in for me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tonelli. In addition to the cost of it, just the drastic cost from 2002, I'm looking at 723, which, like Mr. Tonelli said, around 800. The good thing I like about this new voice over IP system is, God forbid we have to encounter another catastrophic pandemic like we just experienced with COVID-19, when we had a lot of our staff not able to fully efficiently perform their duties because they were all at home. With this system, even Ms. Griffin will be able to be at home and take calls related to the city. That information, she can take the information, she can relay it back down to our dispatchers. If we have to have code enforcement, public works, or someone go out and respond or deal with a situation, we can do so now efficiently and proficiently with this new system. And that's what I liked about it. In addition to like now with the phone system that we've experienced, like Mr. Tonight said, it's breaking down. You have to wait 5 minutes to make a phone call because it's searching for a line because we're still on the analog system. It's gotten so bad where our communications officers are forced to sometimes use their personal cell phones just to connect to another agency to get resources and get notifications made. So that's what I like about this system. It's modern. It does eliminates the analog system, and it puts us with the iNet, which is like we ahead of technology in one aspect, we behind in another. But the iNet server allows public safety to tap right into it. So it's almost like a seamless system that we're putting in place now that will last us a long time, and we can do multiple functions at the same time, on site, off site. This system also has the ability to you can get your calls through your emails. You can click on a voice link in your email. Someone leaves you an email, you can click on it and you can listen to the message through your email. You don't even need your phone. So there are a lot of features that this ACC Telecom brings to the table. And like Mr. Tinley said, I hope that the council will strongly consider this as well as we are moving into 21st century technology.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for that overview. I don't think you'll have any arguments from the council. We've had this conversation numerous times. I see your hand, Council Member Rout. Before I turn it over to you, though, I do want to call out, though, I understand the value in utilizing the grant funding for this. However, we can't afford for these phones to go down in the middle of an emergency when our residents need us the most. And so if the council is in favor of approving, my recommendation is let's move forward with it. And, you know, if we can pay a portion of it now and in accordance with the grant funding, if it qualifies and we can get the additional balance satisfied through that, I think that would be the way to go. But I think it's appalling that we have staff having to make emergency calls from their cell phones. That is hugely problematic. But Councilmember Rout, I know you had some comments. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor James. So I think our brains were connecting on this one because I definitely wanted to ask Mr. Tonelli, on your MML call tomorrow, is it possible to ask this specific question? If we can pay in portion for something, like if we can start a cost on infrastructure and then pay it because it crosses fiscal years. That's something that I use all the time. I make a payment with some type of budget and then we roll it over to the next fiscal year. Is that an allowable option? If not, when are they releasing these funds? Because I would hate for us to pass it today and then they're gonna release the funds on next Tuesday, and then we like, oh, we should have waited. You know, so if you could ask these specific questions, because I know we have some specific needs, like that shot spotter, the cameras, and this. Like, these are the 3 things that, like, we need this yesterday. So if you could do that, and then I would like to, I'm just proposing that we wait for Mr. Tonelli to get that information from that MML call. Mr. McGrory starting tomorrow. He could be right there with our town treasurer supporting him on that call. And then we're coming back anyway to re-talk about the budget. So it's a possibility, but that's just my recommendation. If the other members of the council think, no, we need to do this because we've been waiting long enough, I'm so in favor, because we had a resident during COVID who really needed our support. They were hungry and they were calling, and Mayor James, you were there, and they were emailing us, and I was with the dinosaur system. I was determined to transfer those calls, and we could not figure it out. And I have actually been on hold where 911 was trying to reach our dispatch because there was a shooting here locally. This was a couple months ago. and the 911, real county 911, couldn't reach our dispatch officers here in Bladensburg because our phones was down. Like, we can, like, that is unsafe. You know, they were able to get the call to our officers through, I guess, some other radio. I don't understand it, but they were able to reach our officers, but I was actually on the line. And so that, like, I agree with you, Mayor James, that is so totally grossly inappropriate. And I'm so sorry that our dispatchers have to deal with this, but we just kind of want to be a little careful.
And to that point, I would hate for someone's life to be lost because of that delay. And now we're on the hook for a lawsuit. And so this amount of money, the $37K, compared to what the town could be sued for wrongful death, it doesn't equate. And so that's why I would ask, why wait when we can address something right now? I would ask the council to go ahead and make the motion. If staff has done their research and they feel ACC Telecom is the way to go, then let's agree to move forward with that vendor. And then in terms of the funding, as you said, we can wait for Mr. Tonelli to come back and say, this is what I found out, here's what we can do, or here's when the money's coming down. And we have some specifics in terms of what our next steps are, pardon me, in moving forward. I think I saw your hand, Mr. Tonelli. Yes.
Yeah, if I could share something real quick too about that. The total $37,460 I showed the mayor and council. If I could just elaborate on that just a little bit more. What is due now is, here's the quote. Non-recurring charges are your one-time upfront costs, your equipment charges. After that, we own the equipment. I don't know what kind of market's out there for this equipment, but so $12,000 would be due at signing. That's the equipment plus 1 month of the service up front. So what's going to hit this fiscal year? $12,155, and then it's going to be the recurring $723 each month thereafter through the 36-month contract for the service. So it's not 36 up front. I just want to show, you know, that 36 was part of the back to too many windows open. I'm sorry.
That's all right, but no, that's helpful. And I think we have enough information to make an informed decision. So I definitely appreciate the additional information. And so with that, is there a motion for the town to proceed forward with ACC Telecom communication system for our new phone vendor? All right, so moved by Councilmember Lundy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Mendoza. Any further discussion? Councilmember Rout, I see your hand.
Thank you, Mayor James. I would like to request that the town council do not adopt this, as we have our acting town administrator officially starting tomorrow. And I would like for him to weigh in on this and be able to be brought up to speed. I don't think it's fair to make a decision with pressure, as we've had this for a lot of administrations. Like, at least we've had this same telephone system for 20 years.
For years.
So we can't wait another day. Like, I really feel like we can be able to wait and we can be able to get information adequately. I think that's the smart thing to do so that we can be able to make the best decision for our town.
Mr. McGrory.
Thank you, council member. I appreciate the vote of confidence literally earlier tonight and with your comments just now. I guess procedurally, to accomplish that, you could amend the motion to grant the approval as the motion already describes, but make it contingent on the town administrator's approval. And that would give me the flexibility to ratify that decision. That way we wouldn't need to delay things any longer than tomorrow. I could make it my first order of business. But I'm very confident that if the chief and Mr. Tonelli believe this is the best way for the town to move forward. I'm very, very unlikely to disagree with that, but I would like to be respectful of the comments you just made, and I'll be happy to take a look at it tomorrow and try and keep things moving. That might accomplish everyone's objectives. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So would you like to amend the motion? So pending the vetting and approval of Mr. McGrory?
I respectfully decline that
Okay,
option because
so-
there's some discussion and I have the floor. The reason behind that is because there needs to be two conversations. So Mr. McGrory and also the MML conversation to how we're going to be able to fund it. And I know Mr. Tonelli said there is also an MML meeting. And so I just don't want it to just be one-sided. So as I stated, I think we can wait another day and not have some pressure on our new acting town administrator. I yield back.
Thank you. And I think that is helpful because you did previously state that because of the situation where you were on the phone and they were trying to contact our dispatchers, the urgency. And I think that, as has been said before, this has gone on for so long, but respect that there is a motion that is currently on the floor. So if you disagree, just vote it down. So I'll move into the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
Councilmember Blunt, were you a nay as well? Yep. All right. The nays have it.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda are the town grants for FY21. Over to you, Mr. Tonelli.
Give me 1 second. The town grants, we had a original submission was due back in September 1 of 2020. These went through the previous town clerk, and we pushed this out again for the public to respond and to reapply. And we had 4 applicants, which I forwarded on. Now, let me talk about the funding real quick. We had okay, let's talk about the funding for the community grants. We had $6,000 in there for the community grants, and we had an additional $20,000 in there for the emergency residential repair grant. We had a total of $26,000 in there, okay? To date, just under $6,000 has been spent. What was slated for the community grants was $6,000. So that's just a little bit of backstory. Now, we had 4 applicants I sent to you. One was a Coalition for Public Safety Training in Schools, another for End Time Harvest Ministries, another for Incarcerated Males and Females Incorporated, and a final one for We Lead by Example. They submitted all the required paperwork, documentation. I'm waiting on one, but I know they had the required documentation. It was just, it's on the previous email of the previous clerk. But I remember, she went through these. She went through that one at least and said that one passed all the documentation and everything, since these were getting funneled through the town clerk at that time. So again, I turn this over to the mayor and council. We normally have a committee here to review this. It was, the town administrator and the clerk and the treasurer. We're missing 2 of those 3 positions, so I thought best just forward this to the council. Just to let you know that they sent in all required documentation.
And I definitely appreciate that, but do know it is helpful to have that internal vetting committee. And I recall in the past, Councilmember Blunt mentioned her expertise in nonprofits, and this was going back a year that she would be willing to serve. So I'm just wondering, now that we have our town administrator on board, would it be possible for you, Councilmember Blunt and Mr. McGrory, to consider getting together and making recommendations for the council, so that at least there's, some expertise looking at those first before they come up to us? Councilmember Blunt, would that be acceptable with you? Okay, and Mr. McGrory, would that work for you as well? Okay. And then just to the council members, would you all be okay with letting them serve as our ad hoc committee to make recommendations regarding the applicants? Okay, great. Thank you so much. So that'll be our plan for moving forward, to let you all take the first pass at those. And thank you all for being willing to help with that, Councilmember Blunt, Mr. McGrory, yeah, Mr. Tonelli.
Mr. McGrory, too, the council members on the committee, would she have to recuse herself from the vote? No? Okay. I just want to put that out there, so it's, you know.
Mm-hmm. And if you find, if you could look into it just to be sure, Mr. McGrory, that we, have our ducks in the row. If that is the case and she does have to recuse herself, we still have enough of us to certainly satisfy a quorum to do the necessary vote.
No, just if I could comment on that, Mayor, the only issue is if there were a conflict of interest, and the fact that one council member is reading them, it doesn't preclude the other council members from reading them. And it's a good, effective use of the council's time to delegate certain responsibilities to the council members, but it doesn't take away the council members' right to vote on that subsequently in a public meeting. So unless there's a conflict, for example, if she were also an applicant in the pool, that would make a difference. But if that's not the case, there's nothing to challenge that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So we'll wait to hear back from you all on that. And assuming we can possibly add that to the agenda for the next budget meeting, we could go ahead and knock that out because it does need to be decided in this current fiscal year. And the next item is the FY21 COLA increases. Mr. Tonelli.
Give me 1 minute, everybody. Everybody see it? Thumbs up. Okay. Part of this year's budget was the 1.5% merit increase and 2.3% COLA increase beginning July 1, 2020. Back when the budget was passed this time last year, I suggested to the mayor and council, not knowing the effect of the pandemic, not knowing if it's going to have a huge financial impact, to delay this and look at it in 6 months to see where we are financially, where we are with the budget and expenditures. We did approve the 1.5% retro merit increase at the April meeting. Okay, so what is still left to do, which is part of the FY21 budget, is the 2.3% COLA increase. Now, I'm not going to get into like arguments one side or the other or anything, but I'm just something that I was told to bring back to the mayor and council. So the retro COLA increase, going back to July 1 through the end of June 30th, because it's pretty easy to project out where we're going to be now because we have 2 weeks left in the fiscal year, obviously, but really we have more than that left because July is unofficially known as the 13th month because you're making all your adjustments and accruals and everything, but we know where payroll is going to be. So what would the cost of the COLA be? Well, roughly $66,000. And with that, the total compensation budget is still projecting to be under 100%. Okay, actually I'm projecting it 92%. Could be 91 to 93%. I tagged it at 92% right now, not knowing what the final payroll figures are going to be. But it would cost $65,000, close to $66,000, and that includes the required FICA tax that the town has to pay as well. Again, this would go back to July 1 of 2020, and I put on here a graph what the budget is for each department and where we're projecting each department to be. The budget is a dark blue line. Orange is where we would end up without the COLA. And the top bar on each graph is where we would end up with the COLA. So if that helps. We'll still be under budget, so Is it the right thing to do? Of course, it's the right thing to do. I told staff at the beginning of the year. But again, this is it's a large budget increase, and also the FY22 budget was built off this already being part of there, because it just rolls over and gets increased, and all the steps and everything get moved up. So the FY22 budget is built off of this being in there. Not to say that has to be it built in there, but that's where we built this budget off of. So again, this would go on the final check and have to make adjustments with the Maryland State Retirement System, because and it's a lot to do since you have to go back 25 payrolls, but that's what we do. So.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for going through the breakdown. And I do recall this time last year going through the budget process, we did agree, put it in there, but we didn't know what we were encountering with COVID-19. So the idea was we need to wait and see what our tax revenue looks like before we pay this out. We'd like to do it, but we wanted to be smart with taxpayer dollars, and it's clear that assessments and income are higher than we projected, even with our conservative estimates. So I see no reason why we wouldn't want to do this, to thank our staff for working so diligently, especially in a pandemic unlike anything we've ever seen. But I'm looking, it's hard because this is taking up the full screen. Let me just scroll down and see if the council has input. I see a hand from Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. I move that the council approves the FY21 COLA.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout. And I hear a second by Councilmember Mendoza. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. Council, we have, as Mayor James stated, we have been very, very careful with our budget requests, and we thought that we were going to be in the negative, or we didn't know what to think this time last year. We were scared for our life. I think we have come out COVID. We have some savings. I want to thank our staff for being patient with us, but I think our staff deserve their COLA that they have earned. They have done phenomenal work to support our residents and our businesses, especially during this pandemic. And the least we can do is give them their COLA. I will also like to see us do something else for them, just to appreciate them, because a lot of our staff have gone above and beyond the call of duty to really accommodate our residents. And as Mr. Tonelli said, we are in the service line and our staff have been serving. Yield back.
Thank you. And, just to button up that point, most of our staff have continued to serve throughout this pandemic and putting themselves at risk of contracting COVID-19. And some actually did, and in some cases took that home, and their family members were impacted. And when they pulled through and rebounded, and got the clearance from medical, they were right back out here on the front line serving. And so I know the town council truly, truly appreciates, just as Councilmember Rout said, we truly appreciate everything you all have done. And let me just continue scrolling down. Oh, thank you. It's shifted again. Took the screen share off, but just want to echo that. So with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll move forward with the discretionary funds. And Councilmember Mendoza, you had sent an email specifically about this. So I want to start with you, but then I also want to go to our colleagues, because some may still have discretionary funds available that need to be allocated.
Yes, I wanted to use my discretionary fund to purchase it's going to be a gift for an employee of the town. Like, we've done this before, so I'll submit the purchase order, and then they could mail it out. And since this is my last year, it'll be like a goodbye to somebody in the town. And it'll have the town's like seal stuff on it. So
It'll be a commemorative collector piece.
yes.
Worth millions one day. So that is for a personalized gift for a staff member. For Council Member Mendoza. Council Member Blunt, do you have any discretionary funds that you would like to have a vote on being allocated?
Yes, I think I have all mine, I think. I'm gonna give money to Time Harvest and also the B5. And I'm gonna take and use some things for, I had it written down for my seniors. Why, when I go out to meet with them, to just talk with them and engage with them. Since it's been COVID, I haven't had time. So I'll be using some like little token gifts.
And what were the amounts you wanted for each organization, Council Member?
125.
125. Right. Council Member Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. With my discretionary funds, I would like to purchase a Save the Peace Cost brick to be engraved so that we can support our Peace Cross here. And that will, if we purchase it in this month, it's going to be $250. So if I could get with Acton Town or Town Administrator tomorrow, or Mr. Tonelli, somebody with a credit card to pay for this tomorrow, I will be thankful for it and have it engraved. And that is what I want to use, $250 of my discretionary funds. And with the additional funds, so I do have a question. Does it have to be used in the, can I procure it in this fiscal year?
You can, yes. I can put it, well, I mean, as long as we have like an invoice or something, you know, dated before June 30th.
Okay.
That's why I say July is like the 13th month, because we wait to see like all the June expenditures, wait for the invoices to come in there dated by June 30th. As long as you get something dated by June 30th, we'll get it in for this budget year.
Okay, so thank you for that. I would like to procure some personalized hand sanitizers to remind people to wash their hands because COVID is still here. And I would like to work with our receptionist and get it, order it from Evolutions or get it just to say Bladensburg Town Council on it. So that we can be able to give that out at our vaccination efforts. And I also would like to have I would like to, if there's any leftover funds, to purchase $10 gift cards for the purposes of rewarding those who get vaccinated this summer. Vaccination is very important to me. I have lost a lot of colleagues and coworkers and family members as it relates to that. And that is what I want to spend my discretionary funds on.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout. Councilmember Lundy. I'm not sure if you have remaining funds, but want to give you the floor.
Yeah, I have. Yes, thank you. I have the $500. I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it hasn't changed. So yes, I would like to use my discretionary funds for several, in several ways. I have two students who are, one is a Bladensburg High School senior. The other one is a Bladensburg High School senior. The other one is a International High School Langley Park senior. One of the students is the valedictorian, and the other one is the salutatorian. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm working with the receptionist, is have some like, I'm calling them the clean machine like care packages to put together for them, because I know they're going away to college and all of that. And so I thought that would be a wonderful way to give back to our young people. And so I'm going to be doing that. So that would be like $100, like $100. And then in those, another $100 because we're going to put a $50 gift card in each one of those baskets as well. Then I had the pleasure of running into, this is really wonderful, getting back to Bladensburg High School. I had the pleasure of having a divine encounter with the daughter of the first Black quarterback from Bladensburg High School. And I met her just out visiting a friend and stopped at this place. And had I not stopped, you know, I would have missed her. And she said, I've been looking for you. I've been looking for a Bladensburg council person. I'm like, here I am. Here I am. And so I've perhaps reach out to Lucian. I've already reached out to them to get their price. I want to do like it's called a Stable Diamond Award. And it's like $63 plus some tax or what have you. And to have that, and I would really love to present that to him at our council meeting. And maybe in July, if we could do that, really like to do that. I'm going to be meeting with him and his daughter to do an interview with him. And so I'm working on some other stuff. Can't let all that stuff out the bag, but I'm working on some other stuff too, because I think that's phenomenal. And he also suffered from COVID. He was hospitalized and he is an overcomer. He recovered. And so that's a blessing. That's a blessing. So then I also want to do some like token gifts for my residents. Want to look at getting some environmental friendly tote bags. And one for our environmentalists, we all know about that. And I would like to have them engraved with Bladensburg going green. And I want to get like 50 of those at $2 and something. So it'd be like $100 and something there. And I have all this, you know, written out when I talk to Miss Diane. And then my last part of my leftover funds, I would really love, since we're opening back up and we're coming back, you know, coming back in and going back in rather, I would like to do something for our seniors in our Bladensburg Commons, seniors who are in the Parkview and seniors who are in Emerson House. Ooh, don't get me, council member. Seniors there. And to do like a welcome back social gathering and just to get some gift cards and just, you know, present them to them, you know, as a welcome back type of thing, gathering from their councilwoman. And that's all I have right now. Oh, I got also talk to Diane. I'm sorry, one thing. I'm sorry, Mayor James. Also got to talk to Mrs. Diane about doing a certificate of academic achievement for the valedictorian, who is Miss Susanna Chavez. I did a certificate of academic achievement for Miss Karen Vasquez, who is the salutatorian at the International High School of Langley Park. But I will get with her to do that. So that will go with her gift basket or what have you, or gift bag. That's it.
Thank you for all those wonderful ways that you're helping the community. With mine, my heart is still heavy due to the loss of Dr. Thomas. But what I'm trying to focus on is the strong commitment and impact he had on our community, not just the children, but even impacting the lives of parents and adults who took his classes and who were able to cultivate courage and self-esteem because of life experiences that had beaten them down. And I'm encouraged that his legacy will continue with We Lead by Example and the Taekwondo Ramblers Incorporated, because Miss Susan McCutcheon has agreed to keep that going along with, we call him Dr. Adrian, but a young man who came through the program, and Dr. Thomas has been grooming him for this moment. And so with that in mind, I think it's befitting that the town of Bladensburg Resources help that program continue as things open up. I look forward to going across the street to the community center and seeing those young people continuing to learn martial arts. And yes, you may think, oh, it's just a sport, but it isn't. That's where they gain confidence, self-esteem. I've seen bullies transformed into respectable young people through that program. And I want to do just this little part on our behalf to keep that program going, and would ask for support with that. And so, Mr. Tonelli, that concludes all of the remaining requests for discretionary funds for fiscal year 21. And so I want to make sure you captured everything. I can send you my messy notes as well, but would ask for a motion to approve the mayor and council. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Air conditioning kicks on, it's loud. Just some of the smaller amounts, it's up to $500. Don't, if you're at 489, 503, don't try to, you don't have to hit it hard and fast, just rounding is fine. So it sounds, especially on the smaller purchases and everything, just keep track of it, work through Diane, just as long as it's done by June 30th, procure by June 30th, secure by June 30th, and it's fine.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. So with that, is there a motion to approve the mayor and council discretionary fund allocations as indicated?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Mendoza. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we're down into the, let me make sure I'm looking at the right thing, the department agendas. And
Well,
so when it turn, I'm sorry, was someone
I'm
saying
sorry, we
something?
had two
Councilmember-
items.
Yes, under new business, we had actually several. Several. And so with that in mind, if we, it's getting late. So if we could abbreviate our department and mayor and council reports, that would help so we can get to these other items. But public safety is up first. Chief Collington, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, Mayor. I don't want to belabor the time. I just want to first just thank everybody for the support the community has given to our staff throughout the last year, throughout the last month. But I do also want to reinforce with our community that if there's ever any concerns or problems that they may have, that I want our community to always realize that I am here and I am accessible. You can call me, you can email me. I'm very responsive. We want to be a professional organization. We will continue to be a professional organization. We will be responsive to the community's needs. We don't want any of our community residents to ever feel slighted by any member of our police department. So with that, I just want to remind everybody this Thursday, we will have a movie in the park. It got rained out last week and we put it back on the schedule for this week. And I do want to take a minute to publicly acknowledge it and thank the mayor, council, and everybody that helped out with Council Member Rout's mental health awareness day, my piece. I mean, it was so fitting for today's time. And I just want to make sure that we did have a nice crowd. And we, as it was going on, if I can just share one personal, as it was going on, we did have a person come to the police station in a critical crisis. And we were able to, staff was able to help get her the professional services that we had. So I just don't want us to take this opportunity that we had Saturday as a one-time event. Mental health it involves, it impacts people of all walks of life, all levels. With that, and the last thing I will end with is the grab and go. And Mr. Tonelli can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it ends this Thursday. I'm sorry, June the 24th, it ends.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure that if it's extended, that I don't give out the wrong information. But to my knowledge, things are opening back up. And the June 24th is the last day for the grab and go. And I just want to say how proud and honored I am to have been part of the team to help take care of our residents through a tough and turbulent time last year into this year. What was the other thing that I have here? Wednesday, the Prince George's County Chiefs Association will be recognizing several officers throughout the county. And I was honored to submit some of our officers' names. They still don't know because I don't know, some of them may be on the call. but I would like to ask if any of our council members are available Wednesday to support us. We do have space at the tables for you to join us. It will be held at the Prince George's County Police Department's FOP Lodge 89 up on 202 in Largo. So if you're able to join us, we would love to have you and support our officers for the incredible work that they've done over the past last year. Thank you, and that's all I have.
Chief, are you able to share the time?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It's 12 to 4.
Thank you for that, Chief Collington. And sticking with public safety, I do want to honor our fire chief who's on the line and just see, are there any updates as it relates to public safety that you want to make us aware? Because I know typically you're on calls and not able to tune in.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, good evening to you and to the council. New town administrator, welcome back to the town. It's been a long time since I saw you. I'd like to welcome you back. As far as the fire department goes on public safety, so far to date, the volunteers of Bladensburg, we've ran almost 3,000 calls that is staffed by an all-volunteer crew, no career staffing. I came over to the council's mental health day. It was a pretty good turnout from what I saw. I was kind of there kind of early, then I had to go out of town for family stuff. And I agree with the police chief as far as it needs to be more than just one day. As the police chief is aware, we had issues with one of our own members who suffered some issues, and through the police department's help and other resources, able to get him the help that he needed. So it's a very big thing. We're continuing to move forward. Monica, one of our first acting members, is working to finish a project for Councilmember Rout, and she should be giving her that soon for the excessive storage people, for the more correct term, also known as hoarding. I try not to use that term too much because it's not a correct term to use nowadays. But she should have a full presentation together so that we can actually put a town event together if the town's willing to help these people and try to get them the guidance that they need to help save themselves. The fire department did put in for a safer grant for smoke detectors. If that goes through, we will be getting 1,000 smoke detectors through FEMA. And once we get those, we will be able to distribute them out to the members of the town. And we've also been working with the Maryland State Firemen's Association on obtaining a recruitment and retention grant through them. So that's what we have from the fire department as far as public safety.
Thank you for that, Chief. Definitely appreciate you joining, and we'll keep going down the line unless there are questions from the council on public safety. Councilmember Rout.
Mayor, thank you, Mayor James. I also wanted to highlight that the police department is having a car show. Chief Collington, can you please talk about that?
Yes. So our community action team on July 10th will be hosting a first car show, and we're looking for a tremendous turnout. I'm getting emails, and he's getting PFC Tanks he's receiving emails from these car clubs, and they are willing to come in and shine and display their pride and joys. So we're looking forward to having a good time here in the town on July 10th, and we will be putting the flyer out in advance so that everyone can show up and support the event. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Chief Collington. And so that wraps up public safety covering the PD as well as the fire department. Councilmember Blunt, did you have a question?
Yes, I want to ask the chief, so do the CATS team or your team have any more events in the next 2 months that's coming up?
After the car show, I believe that will be it, but I would definitely keep the council engaged and informed. But I believe the car show is the last event that we have for July. Now, National Night Out is the first Tuesday in August, and I'm really pushing for us to have our National Night Out. I think we can pull it off. We have enough time to make that happen. So that will be right here next door, where it is every year. And that is the major thing. Now, I did speak with Rob Walker at Waterfront Park about the 4th of July. And at this point, they are still not having large events. He did direct me to go up the chain to make a special request. And I told him that I didn't think that that was really necessary to do that. If the park's closed, it's closed.
Thank
So-
you, Chief. And
Go ahead.
Councilmember Lundy, I don't know, she may have had a question for you as well, Chief. Councilmember, were you raising your, okay, just wanted to see if you had a follow-up. Okay, thank you so much, Chief. Appreciate that information. And we'll move forward with code enforcement.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and Mr. McGrory, welcome home. And glad to work with you again. It's been a long time. I'm going to be very brief like the chief was. If anybody has any questions or concerns or any codes that they want us to look at, please reach out to me. My phone number is 301-927-0330, or email me. And I kind of prefer you to email me because one, it keeps a good running record of if you have a concern, it will come to me and then I can track it. And please, please, please provide your information. We keep all your information. We do not tell who complained on anybody. That stays strictly with me, and it gives me an opportunity to, when I need to report back to you, I can reach out to you either via an email or phone number. And that email address is going to be code, CODE, at Bladensburgmd.gov. Again, it's code, CODE, at Bladensburgmd.gov. Don't hesitate to call me for any of your questions or concerns. I'm here for you. Bladensburg's my home, born and raised. I love this town. And like I said, I expect this town to be the same way as you expect this town to be. So please feel free to reach out to me. And again, welcome home, Mr. McGrory.
Thank you, Officer Reinhardt. And next up, we have PW, the Department of Public Works. Mr. Hall, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor and council and staff. Good afternoon. We really don't have anything pressing right at the moment. Guys are just working hard, assisting with some abatements, and also we get ready to start doing all the yellow curbs in town, and that's basically about it for the month of May.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hall, and thank you to your team for the hard work that you all do each and every day. The next item moves us over to the treasurer report. Mr. Tonelli.
I want to say I think you all heard from me from quite a bit tonight, so I'll be very brief. This is a treasurer's report. It doesn't change much month to month. I try to keep the same format so it stays consistent through the budgeting process, and you'll see the same format through the FY21 and previous years audit as well. Quick summary about each department. We are on solid financial ground. As you can see, with 1 month left into the fiscal year, our revenues are ahead of our expenses by almost $750,000. As the mayor touched on earlier, and Councilmember Rout, we budgeted very conservatively for the revenues, and all the revenues and more came in. You know, we thought the pandemic was going to have a very negative financial impact. And we're finding out that, you know, obviously didn't have the impact, well, financially, I should say, as we thought it would. And we're also experiencing a few key staff vacancies, which help drive down the operating expenses. And, you know, as I said, we're a service industry. Our biggest expense is payroll, and we were down at least 3 of the director level positions through the fiscal year. And we also sustained some vacancies as well in public safety. So we're going into the end of the fiscal year in a very financially positive note. And we have to set a date here very soon to finish up the budget discussion. And as Mr. Reinhardt said, if you have any questions or comments, please email me. It is a lot easier because that way, you know, we can share internally as well as like, hey, you know, can you help me answer this question and everything else? So, and we keep all these. We keep all these for our own, you know, we look back on, you know, I may see a name, I'm like, oh, I remember him from, I remember her from a couple of years ago. I pulled up and say, oh, I remember talking to you about this. So it's nice to get that, that email track and everything, because we also use it internally too to track when the questions come in and when they're responded to as well. So just want to put that out there. If anybody has any questions or comments about the financials, please contact me. I love talking about numbers. Problem is trying to get me to stop talking about numbers, but that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for that update. That completes the department reports. I want to move over to the mayor and council reports, and I'll begin with Councilmember Blunt.
I forego.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lundy.
Hi, I'll be quick because I know we got to get to those extra items. So, yes, so I did attend several events at the International High School of Langley Park, several of their virtual events, the awards ceremonies, and some other events. Also continue to support it, the previous month, the vaccination efforts, not only here in Bladensburg, but I think myself and Councilmember Rowell, I think it was last month, we partnered and supported Brentwood as well. Also, I had to go over, along with myself and Councilmember Blunt, supported Parkview in their vaccination efforts, encouraging them and, with the seniors over there to make sure they were vaccinated. So we went over there and supported them last month. Also attended the Peace Cross Memorial Veterans Ceremony. And also I'm very proud to say, and very humbled as well, to have been nominated and to receive the confidence of my peers, the fellow mayors and council members and commissioners to serve on the Prince George's County Municipal Board. I was very humbled by that. I was very humbled by that. Also, I can't speak for Mayor James, but she's also received nominations. In fact, we were tied. We both got the same amount of votes. So that was really humbling and really exciting as well. So I think that's it. That's it. It's other stuff, but that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Lundy, and over to you next, Councilmember Mendoza.
Like Blunt, I forgo my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Mendoza. Councilmember Rout.
Thank you so much, Mayor James. I want to start off by truly thanking the staff for working hard at the My Peace Mental Health Awareness Day. And as Chief Collington and Chief Sumner shared, mental health is so important. My current role at the DC Department of Behavioral Health is Strategic Planning, Policy, and Engagement Officer. Engagement is what I do around mental health. Mental health is so important. We all have mental health, as I shared at the event, and mental health has always been stigmatized and quiet, but people really suffer in silence. People really have a hard time with dealing with things, and I suffer from mental health. I'm diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and PTSD from my previous trauma. And it warmed my heart to have our town staff to work so hard with me. I mean, we met on a weekly basis and we pushed through, and to see our residents come out, I would like to report the numbers and the tracking. We had 144 people attend this event. 32 individuals signed up for assistance. We had 37 volunteers assist us with having this event, and residents, businesses, staff. This event was rescheduled. It was rescheduled twice. The rain was not working in our favor. And, I'm gonna be honest, when it rained, I cried for about an hour and a half because I was upset that it was thundering and lightning because I was like, oh, I'm gonna find a business. We're gonna pitch some tents and we're gonna be out there in the rain. But when it started thundering and lightning, my soul was crushed. Then it rained on our rain date. I was in Belize and I was willing to fly back. I told my grandma, I said, hey, I'm gonna have to fly back early. It rained again. So the third time was a charm. It was a beautiful event. Our residents were impacted. And the story that I heard from our lieutenant, the irony of the positive influence that was happening when we took that My Peace pledge at the end, that was during the same time that that person that was experiencing a mental health emergency volunteered for services. It was nothing but positivity. I want to thank Councilmember Blunt for coming to me and saying, I want to help. You need to find me something to do. Because she wasn't originally going to do anything. I didn't have nothing planned for her. She told me, you're going to find me a job. I don't know what it is. I want to support you. I want to be a part. Councilwoman Lundy, you stepped up to the plate and you ran that volunteer effort. I ain't never seen you do that. You did it with your leadership. Councilman McDoza, you definitely helped. With the first event, you found us some entertainment. And I was searching and searching and searching, and you pulled through. Chief Collinson, thank you so much just for your leadership. I know I had a lot of asks, and you definitely worked with me with my vision because it was all in my head. I kept saying it's all in my little brain. Thank you, Councilwoman Lundy, for stepping up as the Mayor Pro Temp to read and write that proclamation at the end. Mayor James, thank you for showing up. I really appreciate you coming out and supporting the event. You know, this is what it means to be an active town council. This is what it means to be responsive to our residents during COVID. And I wanted to take this time during my time to sincerely thank our staff for stepping up, my council members, and the public for coming, and the businesses. We have so many partnerships that were born through this initiative. So many people want to come out and they want to work with us because they see where our passion is. I have continued my vaccination efforts in the town of Bladensburg. I will not stop until we reach herd immunity in the town of Bladensburg. That is at 70%. I did attend the Peace Cross Memorial Day. I have signed up to be the point person to sit on the Department of Health's vaccine task force. And I have responded to residents' complaints. I think this is the busiest month I've ever had. Residents are asking me to come out, do walks, see different things. I'm out there taking pictures. I'm bothering code enforcement. I'm sending emails. I'm talking to chief. I think residents are really understanding that we have town staff and residents that are working on their behalf. And I want residents to know that our town council, we're responsive. Our staff, we're responsive. Give us a try. Give us a try. We're here to work. And we're here to work with you. We can't do it all by ourselves. And if you see something, say something. So I think we are moving positive in the right direction. And I want to thank everyone once again just for your support, because mental health, you are not alone. We are all not alone. I yield back.
Thank you. And again, congratulations on a wonderful event, Councilmember Rout, with the My Peace event on Saturday. Excellent. And thank you, Councilmember Lundy, because I was corrected. You were a partner collaborator in that. So very well done. And as far as my report, I do want to say I appreciate Councilmember Lundy reading the proclamation, because I got a call that morning that the Shine CDC was extra blessed with food from Trader Joe's, and they couldn't let that go to waste. So I was late because I had to fill up my truck and deliver food to food insecure residents. And so it was good to know that I got there. You guys had the program going. Everything was excellent. And even after the event was over, I thought I could come home and take a break and start getting my report together for tonight. And then it was like, nope, we got more food from another source. So I was out till 8:30 Saturday night delivering more food. to residents in need, but it is a blessing that people see we are engaged. If they call us and they have resources, we step up and respond. I don't care what's going on. If we can get there to get resources for our residents, we consistently step up and serve. With respect to activities for the month of May, my written report will be shared with Ms. McDowell so it can be posted. But for residents, if you could just pay attention to the information I shared about the May 12th webinar PEPCO did. They shared a lot of great resources on energy assessment and things that are there to help you as homeowners with sustainability efforts, cost savings, and so forth. For the sake of time, I won't go into that. Beautification is huge in our community, as Councilmember Rout alluded to earlier. This is the time of year where people are out of their houses. Winter is over, spring and summer are upon us, and so they start to notice more things. And so even yesterday on Sunday, I was visiting residents who complained about noise issues, because I want them to understand that you don't just email one time and we think the problem goes away. We follow up. And so definitely responded to that and look forward to continuing until we get to a resolution regarding the noise issues in Ward 1 for this particular resident and neighbors. In addition to that, had a great meeting with the Port Towns leadership as far as the mayors go, and then the state's attorney's office, the Denny House, and Solid Foundation. What we're looking to do is they presented to the Port Towns quarterly group, and we're looking to put dates together so we can have community cleanups over the next several months that are Port Towns initiatives. And second to that, we will be releasing dates for at least one expungement affair that we'd like to partner on for the Port Towns, and Comar Manor has agreed to host that event. So again, the planning is underway, but you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. And then as it relates to the ARP funding, it was stated previously that the finance director for Prince George's County shared his understanding is that in this first swath of funding, municipalities can expect to receive 75% of your annual budget in this first swath. Again, we have several years, well, not several, but a few more years to get the release of the remaining funds, but look forward to collaborating and coming up with ideas with the staff as well as the council to put strong programs in place so we make sure, as Councilmember Blunt always says, that we are doing everything we can to help our residents. And so I look forward to working with you all on that. Again, my written report will be available online, but for the sake of time, I will end it there. We do want to move into new business. There was an item on the agenda for a community walk. I believe that was Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor James. That's community walk is not me. I am Our Streets, Our Future. Is that the same thing?
So that I guess we submitted the same agenda item because I had it down there since the town agreed to partner with State's Attorney Brave Boy's office and we attended the rally.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So I was finished. So Our Streets, Our Future is the initiative from State's Attorney Brave Boy. She hosted a rally at in Landover, Maryland, at a local church, just in response to the gun violence. State's Attorney Brave Boy, who her and I, we are in the same sorority, and she has been an ongoing mentor of mine, reached out to me and said that she wants to take her Our Streets, Our Future initiative on the road. And she thought it was fitting to have Bladensburg be one of her first partners. And so given that we just discussed just different ideas by which last Friday evening, Acting Chief Collington and myself was able to speak with her municipal liaison, Mr. Sean Michael Wilson, and we were able to come together just to pitch to the Bladensburg Town Council just ideas as it relates to this Our Streets, Our Future event. State's Attorney Brave Boy's office proposed that this event be held Saturday, July 17th. And the purpose of this event is to really hear from the community and activate a response as it relates to the violence, specifically the gun violence that is taking place. As we heard from resident Nelson, there's violence that's happening. There's shootings that's happening in the middle of the day, and we have to be able to do something about it. And speaking with Chief Collinson, Acting Town Administrator Chief Collinson, and Sean Michael Wilson, we were thinking, and this is up for discussion, two events on the same day. Now that's a little hard to do, but we could pull it off. Having one event starting at the Old Mattapony Shopping Center, the Bladensburg Shopping Center right there on 57th Avenue, to really have some sidewalk conversations, walk through that community, really point out what's going on, meet the residents where they are. The residents will be able to hear and speak to State's Attorney Braveboy's staff as it relates to what they can offer. I know preliminarily in speaking, we want to reenact the neighborhood watch program that we had many years ago. We want to find residents that are willing to be captains for this event. We the State's Attorney Braveboy's office, they do have a mentoring program. They're having, the county's having a new mentoring program where mentors are being recruited, and they are taking volunteers for this mentoring effort, and they're undergoing background checks as we speak. So some of the mentors can be matched with some of our young adults, young people, and even adults need mentors. I know I have a mentor. So, you know, having mentors to be partnered up with some of our residents to really coach them. Another thing is hearing from the big mamas and the big papas and the OGs in our community, for the people who used to be a part of some of that violence, and how we can be able to utilize their voice to say, hey, stop this, let's stop this. Let's deal with our violence and our misuse, you know, and our differences differently. So getting some of those big papas and big mamas who, you know what's going on. I know the kids say I'm one of those, but I'm not accepting it. I'm old, because I be staring out my window trying to look, say, oh, you need to go home, stop starting stuff. But some of those people who are, you know, community watchers, and how we can be able to bond together to really change and bring our community back. You know, we could fire up the grill. You know, Chief Collinson could get on the grill, as long as you don't be burning no hamburgers and hot dogs. That's a long time joke with Councilwoman Blunt. And then also getting some reentry services for the individuals who have been previously incarcerated, and working with the county, some of the county partners and programs, so that we can be able to service. Now, I do think that we should, you know, after thinking about this event a little bit more, I think we should focus on the highest crime area and not do it on both sides. But I mean, that's up to the town council. Now, the only thing is we would need to come up with some type of budgetary ask for this, because it's going to take some money to pull this off. And the state's attorney's office was definitely vocal in saying that they could come with partnerships, they could come with resources, but they don't have a budget for this yet. And so just a preliminary discussion, $750 would be able to get the job done. And that would be investing in us, investing in our safety. And that would just be to make it nice. Yes, we could get donated food. Yes, we can get, but what we gonna eat on? You know, plates and napkins and all of that stuff. We want to draw some attention, maybe get a jumpy for the little kids or something. I don't know what that draw will be, but I think that $750 would be adequate enough. I don't know what budget it'll come out, but I do think that if we are going to have this event on Saturday, July 17th, we need to come up with some type of committee to do this so that we can be able to really service and really make our state's attorney proud, as this will be one of her first stops. You're back.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout. And it sounds like we both have been in contact with them about this because of the urgency of the need. And so it's good to hear that you had a positive conversation with her office. I know when we spoke the day after the rally, the state's attorney and I, as I shared with her that during the event, Chief Collington and I were talking about what can we do now. One of the what can we do now takeaways was reinvigorating the neighborhood watch. And so I did share that with the state's attorney, and she said, Keisha, look, it doesn't have to be at day. Bad things happen at night. So if we are out there, at night, that's what I want to do. It's not just about coming out one time or just coming out during the day when the crime isn't as high. And so I'm very just grateful that she sees the concerns. She knows the cases that have come out of this community. And so she's not giving lip service. And so would be happy to serve on the community committee, because this is going to dovetail into kicking off our neighborhood watch efforts. And so I look forward to being a part of that. With that, again, appreciate that update. I know council member, oh, let me keep going down, sorry. So town 4th of July event. This was really circulating out of the budget conversation because we had a hint that we may not be able to do fireworks this year. Councilmember Rout shared some information, looked into that. There is an opportunity where we can do a 4th of July event that weekend. It would be different, and actually it fits in our sustainability goals, which would help us get points toward our certification with Sustainable Maryland and the Maryland Sustainable, the other program. And so if we did a drone display, it would be the same budget, $15,000 for that. The beauty of it, though, is this is a good marketing opportunity, because while you have the sprays that look like fireworks, we can have our marketing person create a QR code for the town. And so at the conclusion, or maybe at the opening, all people have to do is point their phone up, capture that QR code, and we could utilize that to capture their information for our newsletters and our e-blast and different things. And so I think that's a great way to leverage a different way of gathering information to help build our list. I know our council members are always saying, well, where's our list? Where's our data? Where are the people? Who's on there? Why are we reaching the same people? And so it could definitely help us with that effort. So wanted to mention that, especially knowing that we're going into the budget conversation in the next week. The other item on the agenda was briefly mentioned before, but again, our hearts are heavy as we grieve the loss of Dr. Cliff Thomas, who was actually Grandmaster Cliff Thomas. And so I want to thank Councilmember Rout for putting pen to paper and starting off the resolution. And I did work with some of the people in the community to really try to tailor it so that the family understands, we really knew him, throwing one of his favorite sayings and so forth. And so want to put the question out there, is there a motion to approve the resolution honoring Dr. Thomas so that we can share that with his family tomorrow at the funeral service?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Mendoza. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all again so much for that. And
Mayor
I know the family will be definitely appreciative. Councilmember Rout.
Yes. Will the resolution, is it ready to be read?
I did share the updated draft with everyone a couple days ago, unless my email went crazy again. That was Saturday. You should have had something from me.
Are you going to be able to read it today?
For the sake of time, I hadn't planned to, but give me a moment.
I think it's important.
Give me
to
a moment
acknowledge
here.
him. He's done a lot of work for our community.
Absolutely. Now I feel like you, Vito, pulling up all these things.
I know.
Windows. Okay. All right. So this is a resolution honoring the life of Dr. Clifford L. Thomas Sr. Whereas the town of Bladensburg recognizes the tremendous loss of a beloved and valued member and leader with the sudden passing of Dr. Clifford L. Thomas Sr., affectionately called Doc, on June 4th, 2021, whereas Dr. Thomas pursued his passion for martial arts beginning in 1964, studying under legendary instructors Grandmaster Jun Rhee, Master Quan Ru, Master Jack Dutcher, Master Roji Yamakawa, Master Suk Chung, Grandmaster Myung Seok Seo, and Grandmaster Parks, learning to master Taekwondo before branching into other forms of martial arts, including Hapkido and Judo. Whereas Dr. Thomas, a 10th degree Black Belt Grandmaster, held 4 doctorates, martial arts education from Oxford University, England, martial arts science from Pennsylvania State University, martial arts medicine from World Martial Arts Hall of Fame in Germany, and philosophy and martial arts sciences from Saudi Arabia, all in martial arts, whereas Dr. Thomas became a pioneering African-American Black belt in the 1970s and rose to the forefront, catching the attention of the martial arts world, choosing to also share his passion with others by forming the Taekwondo Ramblers self-defense systems in 1970, and later establishing the nonprofit We Lead by Example Incorporated to offer positive programs for children, adults, seniors, and including those with cognitive or physical disabilities. He began teaching classes in Washington, D.C., and later chose to bring his safety and self-defense programs to the town of Bladensburg, where he taught at the Bladensburg Community Center. Whereas Dr. Thomas received numerous awards during his stellar career, including the Martial Arts Hall of Fame Diamond Life Achievement Award, honors both under General Chai of Korea and the World Korean Martial Arts Union, one of the select few non-Asian Americans to be so recognized. He received the Unsung Hero Award from the city of Washington, D.C., Presidential Award Volunteer of the Year by President William Jefferson Clinton, Presidential Award from President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush, and special recognition by U.S. Senator Ben Cardin for his bullying prevention and self-defense summer camp, to name a few. Whereas, by striving to be a positive role model throughout his life, Dr. Thomas led by example and served the community as a unique and powerful force for good. People of all ages responded to his patience and generosity. His self-determination inspired those around him to achieve greatness and to take pride in themselves. As Doc often said, if you do your best, there is nobody better. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the town of Bladensburg recognizes the contributions of Dr. Clifford L. Thomas Sr. and honors his remarkable achievements, celebrates his legacy, and gratefully acknowledges his many contributions to the town of Bladensburg. Further be it resolved, the town of Bladensburg Mayor and Council offer our deepest condolences to the friends, family, and students of Dr. Clifford Thomas Sr.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
So I do hope it's meaningful to the family when they hear that the council took the time to put this together. So thank you all for supporting
Beautifully written.
the resolution. And I'm sorry, I got lost in it. Do we have a motion to approve? Trying to fight back tears over here.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lundy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays?
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Wonderful man.
But with that, the final item on the agenda for tonight was Well, there's two, the county COVID efforts, and then after that, the 2021 election. So, Councilmember Rout.
Yes, I would like to request that I be appointed as the leader for the town of Bladensburg to lead our vaccination response, our coordinated vaccination response. So if I shared in our work session that I was approached by the health department.
Yeah, the health department.
Sorry, I blanked out. The health department, just to understand the vaccination efforts. I attended 2 of those meetings today, one earlier this morning, one this afternoon. The partners are ready. They have partners from all over. I mean, the list is phenomenal. I have kept Acting Town Administrator, Chief Collington, included in all of the correspondence, and I would just like a motion to formally appoint me as that role.
Is there a motion to approve Councilmember Lundy as a
No,
representative for the, I'm sorry, Councilmember Rout for the COVID efforts in partnership with the county?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lundy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And then the final item is the 2021 elections update.
Oh, so I asked it to be put back on the agenda. So whoever was responsible for that, they can go ahead, who's going to report it, and then I have some comments. So who was going to do that from the town?
From the town?
Right, it was on the original agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an agenda item. So I wanted to see who was going to talk about it, and then I can have some questions or comments.
Acting Town Administrator, Chief Collington, do you have any updates on that?
Thank you.
And Chief,
The only updates that I have, I can put out the dates for the upcoming elections. Just for that, for clarification on that item, agenda item, it was reworded from the original posting that was sent out. So we just changed it to the election updates. So I will just update our community on the election. August 20th, 21 is the deadline for candidate filing, and September the 3rd, 2021 is last date to register to vote. And as always, our election is on October the 4th this year, 2021. And the time is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we will be working with the election committee to secure the voting machines. And that's all I have, Mr. Tonelli, if you want to add to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got a quote in for the election machines that I will share with incoming administrator, Ms. McGorry. And it's also for 3 election machines for the day, along with, give me 1 second, a couple of emails, along with on-site support. Coding of the machines and ballots are the only variable cost. The ballots are 31 cents each. So we just need to decide if we need 1,000 ballots, 2,000 ballots, or anything within that range. And it's all part of our FY22 budget under the town clerk.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Councilmember Lundy, you said you had some questions, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor James. So I do have a motion that I would like to put before the council. I want to get that taken care of first before I do my questions. And so my motion would be to extend the time of the election that's going to be held on October 4th, because a lot of our residents that work. I mean, people are rushing and everything like that. They may have to get home to take care of their family, their children, or what have you. So I wanted to extend the time to 8 p.m. From 7 to 8 p.m. to extend the time of the election on October the 4th. That's my first thing. So I wanted to put that motion on the table.
So Councilmember Lundy, I could be wrong. We may have to check this out with legal, but I think that request has to go to the Board of Supervisors for elections. They run it. And so we cannot, typically we don't dictate the rules. They lay those out. And particularly if we're a candidate running, you don't want it to seem like there's undue influence in the election. So we can certainly ask Mr. McGrory to look into that to find out if, like you said, the hours can be extended.
Thank you.
But I can't entertain a motion because I don't want to get us in trouble for putting that on the table that you and I both are running for reelection and we're voting to influence, the procedures of the election. Does that make sense?
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that part.
And Mayor,
Do you have
a
a
follow-up?
No. Does Councilman Raha something about that, or you want to go something else? Because I can wait. Okay. I can
Yeah,
go
you
on.
said you had a couple. I'd rather
Yeah,
if
I
you
can
just
go
go
on.
ahead.
I didn't see anything. I saw the dates publicized, October 20th, September 3rd, and October 4th. I didn't see any times with that. That's the first thing. I guess it's going to go to 7 right now. I guess the time for all of those dates. And then also, I didn't see any information about absentee ballots, dates or times for those. And I wanted to know, I wanted to know what is going to be our community engagement. Thus far, I just see, we said the e-blast and we're doing something on social media. So I wanted to know, are we going to do that consistently? Are we going to send postcards out? I don't know what the plan is. And that's why I'm so glad to see that we have Mr. McGrory here, because I know he's going to be very diligent in that as we work to get our town clerk on board. So yeah, some information about how we're going to continue to engage the community, information about the times associated with these dates, and then information about to inform the public about the absentee ballot process, those dates and times, because usually all of that goes out together. And so I was kind of surprised to see that it didn't go out with the correspondence about the candidate filing deadline, the last day for registering for our residents who need to register to vote, to participate in this election, where you have the mayoral seat and the 2 wards up for candidates up for re-election. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lundy, for bringing up those concerns and, just recognizing that we don't have our clerk who would normally be supporting the Board of Supervisors at this time. But I think you're right with Mr. McGrory coming on board. He can assist so that those processes are followed and the information can be put out as it needs to be. And it looks like he was over there taking some notes. So I would definitely follow up with him, and I believe he'll, make sure that he works with the Board of Supervisors to make sure the proper steps are being taken in terms of community notifications, but also, following all the processes and procedures laid out by the Board of Elections. Does that work? Okay, thank you. And so with that, we have come to the end of tonight's agenda. And so I'm sorry, Councilmember Rao, I see your hand.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor James. I just want to ask a question that I do know the answer to, but for the purposes of the public, maybe listening in, is there a process that we have to be able to follow in order to run for office? Can anyone answer that?
Yes, there is. And it's laid out with you filing. And as you experienced, when you came in and filed for your campaign and got all that information from the clerk at the time, she walked you through some things. And so, yes, there is a process. If you're interested, please call Town Hall. And we, again, don't have a town clerk yet. But in the meantime, if you would just reach out to Mr. McGrory, and he can give you the information working through the Board of Supervisors, because truly they're the ones that are going to be managing the election, just to have a level of independence from staff. So no one can come back and say, well, staff influenced the outcome. No. we can facilitate information going to them, the flow of information coming from them to the community, but we'll use him to quarterback this if that's okay.
Mayor?
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yeah, and you must be 25 years old to run for council, 30 to run for mayor. You must have lived in the town at least 1 year, and you must be a U.S. citizen. And I think that's it. The qualifications.
I think we changed the living in the town qualification to 2 years. Did we not, Mayor James, if I recall?
Correct. Yeah, I believe it is 2 years. So, but again, I don't want to go off memory. I'd rather wait so
Right.
we can have you contact town hall
Right.
and get the information in writing, because we're just going off of recollection, and I'd rather you have what is in black and white so you can have the answers to the questions.
Right, Mayor
Councilmember
James, may I
Rabb.
respond? So it's been brought to my attention. I have a lot of residents that are definitely concerned with people that have not officially filed any paperwork. So I want to encourage anyone who has not officially filed any paperwork to file paperwork so that you can be approved. We have an acting town administrator starting tomorrow, and I think you call town hall, get an understanding of what those rules and regulations are, because if you are a viable candidate, we don't want you to be X'd out because you didn't follow the rules. That's like poor leadership, and we really want this to be a fair process. You're back.
Thank you. Councilmember Blunt.
You have the board of directors already lined up and ready to work?
Correct. So the way the charter is written is the Board of Election Supervisors, their term continues. Now, let's say next election, we decide we want to X them out and start from scratch, then we as a council can give input on who would, or put the word out there, sorry, not give input. We put the word out there that, hey, if you would like to volunteer in this capacity, whether it's through community notifications, e-blast and so forth, we put the call out for volunteers and residents can sign up. But again, we don't influence that. We put the information out and then they can apply and then we appoint them. But the charter also does state that if you don't change it, it continues with the same group that's in there already. And the nice thing is with the volunteers that we have, they've had the opportunity to be trained on the electronic voting devices, so they'll be up to speed. And the nice thing is, let's say they decide they don't want to do it anymore, they can be helpful in training the next group of volunteers that come up to serve on the Board of Elections.
So, and when do they start? I mean, when do they?
I would have to defer to staff on that. I don't know how frequently they meet. I don't get involved in that as a elected official, but Mr. McGrory, if you could let us know to Councilmember Blunt's question, have they started meeting yet, or when do they start their process for convening and getting together? That could be helpful.
Someone will be giving him Bob, sorry, McGrory, be giving him the list of names of the people who's already on the board so that he can find out what their availabilities are and what they're planning to do. I'm sure you got that, Bob.
Correct. Yeah. So the staff already have that list, so they can provide it to Mr. McGrory.
Mayor,
Councilmember
point
Mendoza.
of order. Some of our staff have been working since 7:30, and we're going to 9:30 already. That's a lot of hours for them. So,
we almost
I
done.
agree. I agree. This is our final thing. Thank you, though, for being respectful of their time. And Mr. McGrory.
Thank you, council members. I appreciate the interest in elections. And as was briefly covered in my application materials, this is a particular interest area for me. I have a lot of experience both as an election judge, as a candidate in your own jurisdiction, and as somebody who's been monitoring elections and serving boards of elections in various jurisdictions to assure that they are free and fair. So despite the fact that the absence of a clerk will handicap us somewhat, I do intend to reach out to the former town clerk, who I also worked with and have a good relationship with, to sort of catch up on how things had been done in the past, and then quickly put together a plan of action for the practical steps needed to conduct the elections. The fact that the filing deadline is still 2 months off gives us ample time to make sure candidates are aware of their rights and obligations under the law to file for candidacy and to mount an effective campaign. And as has been noted, the staff has a very neutral role in this. And though I don't know the Board of Elections members, they are intended to insulate staff from any implications of involvement in the political aspects of campaigning and the conduct of elections. So we work for the Board of Elections to conduct those elections. But I'd be happy to talk to any council members, and this is an area I'll jump right into, knowing that it's time sensitive. So thank you all for your interest in it, and thanks for the time.
Thank you for that, Mr. McGrory. So with that, that looks like we're at the end of the agenda. Again, that was the last item, and so I would ask for a motion to adjourn tonight's council meeting. Moved by Councilmember Mendoza. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rao. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all so much. And thanks to those who were able to stay on. I know we ran past our normal time, but we're now adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Okay.